Hey, welcome back to Papa's Custom Cars. Today, we're going to experiment with a couple of different header configurations for the Nova motor. This is the new one that I just got in, so I'll kind of show you the difference and why we're going to need to go with the ones that we go with. So stay tuned and let's start playing header games. So as I said in the intro video, we've got a couple of issues to work out with these turbo headers. Mainly, and I'll show you here in just a second, the set that I have pushes the turbos out to the front of the block. And unfortunately, between the turbo flange and the radiator, I have 12 inches. And that is nowhere near enough to put this turbo. While it looks really cool and everything, it just will not fit in the engine compartment without me relocating the radiator, and I'm just not going to do that. Give me just a second and I'll show you what I mean by how they stick off the front of the engine. So let's get that done and I can show you what I'm talking about. So the only really feasible way to mount them is to bring the exhaust out in this direction, and then your air charge coming in from this direction. These are both water and air cooled, both water and oil cooled. So not only do we have to do this, we'll have to run water lines and all kinds of other fun stuff. So let me get this mocked into place and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So with the turbos mounted like this down low, between the front pulley, they stick out 7 inches. So that means that I have a clock in there. This is going to be a little bit in there, getting more towards. This would be going in and this would be coming out. Would be the best way to do it. Otherwise, I'd be routing the exhaust right past the water and everything else, and it's just not good for doing things. But with this 7-inch stick out, it puts it right smack dab into the radiator. So in order to use these turbo headers, I would have to cut the flange and then pipe them up and over in this direction because there's just not enough real estate inside the car for the front mount. While it does look cool, it is really neat. I just can't do it. The other option I've got is I make flanges that curve down or curve up, but once again, we're still in this area in the front of the engine compartment where radiator and everything else is. So adequate misting, we all know we're getting hot, even with the covers on, it's still going to get warm. We don't want to heat up our radiator or water, all that kind of stuff. Even if we reclock them and bring the exhaust out this way, we've still got to deal with the intake side, and that's just not going to be good. So I purchased the set of these turbo headers, and these are nice because you can either mount it going down, you can mount it going up, depending upon where you're putting them. Wastegate to the front, using the opposite. Using the opposite for this side, would be wastegate right back. Wastegate going back is not a good, unfortunately, not going to work because if we go back with the wastegate, we're going to run into if we go back with our wastegate, we're going to end up running this wastegate right into firewall or very close to it. And once again, that'll heat something up. So we're going to have to go. That's just to get an idea. We're going to have to go this direction, and then we can cut fungus right into the follow it down this side without the exhaust with the waste. So let's get this mocked up and see what it looks like and see how it will sit. a little curious before I start messing around with stuff. I just want to mount up the power on it and see how it goes. So give me a couple minutes to pull this apart and put the new one on. One of the things about these front-mounted headers is this particular bolt and this particular bolt are both almost impossible to get out without pulling this whole thing apart. I cut a slot in this one so that I can slide it onto that one, and then it'll allow me to put this bolt in. So that's helped somewhat, but you have to remove the whole thing out to get to this bolt, which is definitely a hassle. The new ones, they've got a nice clean spot to you don't have to deal with it. Also, I do have anti-seize on these bolts, mainly because you've got steel going into aluminum. You don't want them to fall up. Yeah, as I said, the only way to do these two bolts is cutting this slot number one here, because otherwise you would have to back them both out at the exact same time. With this slot here, it definitely makes it easy. Pull this one off, pull this one loose, and you just slide it out. So that's the only flaw that I've found in cutting this into it. These are a nice heavy-duty set of headers, so I am not saying anything bad about them. The welds even look good on these. There are some spots inside that are not welded in, externally, but it appears to be TIG welded everywhere else. Somebody took a little bit of time to clean that out. They probably didn't do it because of how close the bolts are to these collectors. So, but yeah, that's kind of that one. We'll get that one off. And as I said, we're going to have to run the collector to the front, or the wastegate to the front, not to the back. So the first thing we always want to do is, I was able to get these on eBay for $125. Send a bid. These are dusty as the day is long, so I'm thinking they were sitting somewhere for quite a while. It has multiple of them, so I'm sure that that's an issue. The ideal thing to do would be just do the back, cut this back a little bit, and then bring the brace from over here to here, or from the center to here. That way we can mount them facing the backwards and tap the exhaust right into it. So that's probably what I'm going to end up doing is cutting these back so that there's plenty of room for the wastegate and everything else in here. Or I may even turn it. We'll kind of cross that bridge as we get there. I do have both colors for these and racks and exhausts, so everything's going to be just I do have a adapter that will allow me to curve this if I want to go that direction. And add a little more room, and that'll be kind of determined. I'm going to swap this one. like I say, if you've got room down below, you could even mount it so the headers are down, the turbo's down at the bottom. Problem with that is you're cruising right by the starter and all that, so probably don't want to do that. Yeah, so part of mocking all this stuff is make sure that it's kind of in a place where you want it to be. Nothing's ever made perfect for the car, especially when it comes to turbo stuff. Everybody tries to get as close as they can, but it can be perfect. It's a little hard to do it that way. As I was saying, we're going to go ahead and probably shorten this up or curve it out because our exhaust will come off the back and then go down. And we're probably going to use this area, general area here, to exit the exhaust. So it'll be easier to curve it or move it so that it's not completely in the way of all the operating parts. Let's slap the turbo on here real quick. Now these are not mirror image turbos. They cost a lot more. As I said earlier, these are oil and water cooled. One of the nice things is if you do your water cooling right, when you shut the car off, gravity will continue to feed water through the system to cool these things down. And that was more of my goal, was to have a drivable car where you didn't have to worry about things heating up so much. These are not the bolt I'm going to be using because these don't, they're not far enough down to add hot water. So it'll be about another quarter inch bigger than this one. And this is dry fitting everything. It's not, there's going to be intercooling, so not so important regarding the heat between these two. This is all going to be bad. So heat shouldn't be too bad of an issue. At least I'm hoping it won't be. But kind of playing it by ear. Modifier will probably go this way, come out, down, or just go down and back. I haven't made that determination. I'll make that determination once everything's together. There are some markings that I put on there so that I know some more kind of things. So there it is, one turbo. Nice size little turbo. This is going to be a lot of fun, but we're going to have to figure out a different place to put this breather and or change the type of breather we have, or move this to the back. The problem with the back is you've got the exhaust right here coming out, so it could be an issue with that. So let's go ahead and spin her around and do the other side. Usually groups for quite a while. A must. Because stuff in here gets hot. So generally what I'll do is I'll leave it loose. Bring it up. These will be pulled up tighter. I'll probably put a retainer here somewhere so that they don't come anywhere near these headers. Cross that now. These are 8mm wires too, so definitely heavy duty. I've also got a different distributor going on it, a smaller one. It's the big HDI on it now. And if you want to know the earlier than 75, you know it's a pain for that big distributor because there just isn't a lot of clearance on the firewall. So, yep. But yeah, as you can see, these will flow down to the intercooler. It'll go through the firewall or the cowl somewhere in this area to the intercooler. The intercooler that I have has an inlet on both sides and one outlet at the top on that side. So I'll be able to pipe it back around to the top and do a hat. So this is basically going to be the layout. This is going to have to go back to here somewhere or curve and come this direction to meet the exhaust system. This will all have to be wrapped because look how close we are to everything. The only way to get away from everything is I've got one that'll tip it just a tiny bit, and I'm going to show you here real quick now. But it'll tip this whole turbo this way, about to this angle, and move it farther away from the valve covers and the engine itself. And that'll allow me to feed both lines into the pipe. Would be nice about it moves face the other way. The other side will face the other way. This one won't, so I may end up tipping this one over a little bit with that adapter, and that'll allow me to move away from the valve cover. So let's attack the other side and we'll see how that sits up. This is why my wife bought me a TIG welder, running into issues like this. This side's far enough away from the this where I don't think I need to run that kick over on this side. The other side definitely it looks like it's going to be too close. So it's easy enough to run that little kick out and move that away. So we'll mount this up, take a good look at it, and then we'll move it to this side. Possibly put in that little adapter. Spin around and go back to the other side. So a couple of things we're going to have to redo with this new kick out is the oil drain is faced this way. So we need to bring it to the straight, so we're going to have to unclock the whole thing again and move it around. This time we're going to unclock it. As you can see, our oil feed is here, water feeds here, oil drains here, so you have to clock the center section to move them to the top. So just like so, that clocks everything the way it needs to be. So you've got your oil at the top, your oil drain at the bottom, and then your water passage. Like I said, these are both water and here. The water and oil. And before we're done, we may end up having to put a little bit of an angle on it so that the oil drain isn't fully pointing right at the bottom of the turbo. And lock this the right way, and we are done. And with that, the oil cap can go on. This one is on, this one is done, and this one's tight. So all I have to do is run our drains to the oil pan. I haven't quite figured out what direction I'm going with it. We'll probably run down along the edge of the block somewhere. Just haven't figured out where yet. I do have the taps in the oil pan already. Once I've got the, I had to order a drain pan because my drain pans are all over the place. So it'll definitely be a minute before we do it. So hang tight. We'll get everything, all my tools put away, and we'll end this video. Okay, so this is the basic setup. We've got our turbos on. I see a few things that we're probably going to have to modify a little bit, which is fine. Mainly, exhaust has got lots of room over here. This one's sitting up a little bit higher than the other. I don't like that. That's not a good thing. And that's because of the kick out. So I may end up having to relocate this and drop it down a little bit more. Just depends on how it sits. There is a fiberglass hood over the top of this, so I want to make sure that I'm not lighting it on fire. The only other addition that it's going to be is we're going to pull the double pump carb off. She does have a Sniper Stealth. It is the 650 horse model. 600 when it's boosted. 600 horsepower is going to be plenty of horsepower for this thing. The nice thing about the system is it will limit my horsepower, and so everything will be set to max at 6,000 RPMs as opposed to what Ken read. You know, I mean, you could take it to the moon if you wanted to. Everything in it is billet. Everything ARP connecting rods, or ARP stud kit, ARP connecting rod bolts, the whole 9 yards. This thing is really, really stout. Along with the 202 heads. It's running at a naturally aspirated. It runs about 10-to-1 compression, so I really don't need a lot of boost. Otherwise, I'll be dealing with a lot of detonation. Moving forward, I may lower the compression. It just depends on how she acts. Like I say, these are for a little bit of go power. Yeah, I could do a lot of go power with them and drag race the car and really have a blast with it, but I don't want to risk blowing up my motor. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not made of money. This thing, machine work alone, was close to $1,000. Money I had and parts that I've been buying over time. This has been going on. The engine build's probably been 2 years now, and I'm back to the car again. So with that said, that's my engine. Please leave a like, share, comment. Definitely share this with anybody you know. If you've done this turbo setup before, let me know how it worked out for you, what you found, and what you needed to change. I like the feedback because it definitely helps me moving forward. Like I said, this is just a basic mock-up to see where everything's going to sit, but that kind of tells you how everything's going to be, and it looks really cool. So I will talk to you in the next video, but other than that, please like, share, and subscribe. And see you